Deshaun Watson. Oh, Deshaun the Massage Man Watson. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Deshaun Watson, as he will be a full-time NFL starter for the first time since the 2020 NFL season. Even though Deshaun Watson is currently on a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract, he has not played a ton of football in the last 2 seasons. With Deshaun Watson all set to be ready for Week 1, there are now high expectations for immediate success, as he is the only quarterback to be paid with a fully guaranteed contract. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. How much pressure does Deshaun Watson have with the Browns? And the answer to that question is a lot. On a scale of 1 to 10, though, I'm going to give it an 8. And the only reason why I'm not saying that it's a 9 or a 10 is because of the fact that I know that the Browns will not move on from Deshaun Watson if he sucks the life out of the Cleveland Browns this year. If Deshaun Watson goes 0-17 with the Cleveland Browns, look, this Browns team is not going to go ahead and cut Deshaun Watson. They got too much dead money left in that contract. They're not going to go ahead and trade Deshaun Watson either. They've got too much invested in Deshaun Watson in order to move off of him that quickly. That's why I say Deshaun Watson doesn't have the most pressure in the NFL, but he does have plenty of pressure to succeed just because of the fact that the fans are already against Deshaun Watson. I'm personally against Deshaun Watson just because of the fact that he did all those crimes, allegedly speaking. We don't know whether or not it's true, but I gotta tell you, if you're getting accused of raping these women 20 plus times, chances are you probably did at least one of those times. I mean, if it was one woman, okay, I could say Deshaun Watson is getting scammed out of the money. But if 20 plus women are coming out and say, hey, Deshaun raped me on multiple occasions, and they all come up with the same story about, oh, he contacted me at a massage parlor and he wants to rub and tugs put on me and he wants to get massaged, and then he ends up doing what he does and Deshaun Watson ends up raping these women. And look, man, I'm not trying to create a joke out of rape situations, but the reality of the situation is this: Deshaun Watson did not put himself in a good position with these women, because whatever he did, it wasn't very moral. And Deshaun Watson is already on thin ice with many NFL fans. Most of them already believe that Deshaun Watson should be locked up in prison. I, for one, believe that he should be locked up in prison as well, and that he should have to register as a sex offender. But obviously, since he is an NFL quarterback, the rules for Deshaun Watson does not apply to the regular human being. Whether you like it or not, Deshaun Watson is a free man, and he will continue to be a free man. Look, the only way Deshaun Watson was going to get locked up and be a convicted felon was if he committed those crimes right in front of everybody else. If he did it behind closed doors, don't worry about it. I mean, look, this is how the NFL works, right? The NFL doesn't care what you do off the field as long as it doesn't impact them. Now, if it impacts them, okay, then all bets are off the table and we're going to blacklist you. Look at Colin Kaepernick for an example, right? He knelt for the anthem. He was costing the owners money, and they were saying, get out, Colin Kaepernick. But Deshaun Watson, oh, he allegedly rapes 20 plus women. Oh, okay, yeah, we're going to look the other way because they impact my life. No, they impact my daughter's life. No, okay, then we don't care. That's the mentality that the NFL is under. But just because the NFL has that mentality, that doesn't mean that a lot of fans feel that way. So why do I keep bringing up the points that are related to Deshaun Watson off the field? Well, it absolutely matters a lot in terms of on the field production, because there's only going to be so much that fans are willing to tolerate before trouble ends up surfacing sooner rather than later. Look, if Deshaun Watson wins a Super Bowl with the Cleveland Browns, would people really care that this guy is a serial rapist? No, not really. The problem with Deshaun Watson is, though, he has shown nothing that indicates that he will be a great quarterback in the AFC. I'm just thinking about the AFC North alone. I'm thinking about the fact how they have to deal with the Baltimore Ravens. They got better in the offseason with the addition of Odell Beckham Jr. They've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are on the rise up. I know a lot of people are sleeping on them, but don't sleep on Kenny Pickett. Don't sleep on George Pickens. Don't sleep on Najee Harris and their elite defense that they already have. And then, of course, they got the Cincinnati Bengals, who seem to be the powerhouse of the AFC with Joe Burrow and company. I know Joe Burrow is currently injured right now, but hey, it seems like he's going to be back for Week 1 before you know it. And then, of course, you talk about the rest of the teams in the AFC. You're thinking about how the Raiders, they might make things interesting this year, especially if they can get Jimmy Garoppolo to stay healthy. And then you think about the Los Angeles Chargers. They're always a dark horse contender in there as well. And then, of course, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. Can't forget about my boy Patrick Mahomes. He's an amazing quarterback. He's the face of the league as well. They're probably the title favorites as well while we're at it. And then, of course, you got the upstart Jacksonville Jaguars coming up. And then, of course, you think about the AFC East, aka the AFC Beast, because of the fact that they've got the Buffalo Bills. They've got the New York Jets. They've got the New England Patriots, who have replaced their offensive coordinator in Matt Patricia. Now they actually got a real OC in Bill O'Brien, so it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots improve from last year. And then, of course, there's the Miami Dolphins, who, although Tua Tagovailoa is very injury prone, guess what, though? When he's been on the field, he's actually been a solid quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. The point of the story is this: the AFC is stacked in terms of talent, and the Cleveland Browns cannot afford to underachieve this year. The problem is, though, their schedule is tough, and that the competition in the AFC is really good, point blank. The worst team in the AFC might end up with 4 wins, and that team that might end up with 4 wins, that's probably going to be because they're going to have to keep playing shuffle games at the quarterback position. That's how stacked the AFC is. Being an average quarterback is not going to cut it in the AFC. This is not the NFC where everything is wide open and that it's anybody's guess as to who will win that conference. In the AFC, you have to have elite quarterback play in that conference. Now, Deshaun Watson, he has shown that he can be an elite quarterback before. The problem is, though, Deshaun Watson hasn't shown to be an elite quarterback in a long time. Ever since Deshaun Watson signed that mega contract for the Houston Texans back in 2020, this man has only won 7 games in 22 starts. This guy is 7-15 in the last 22 games. I understand that some people might be saying, hey, his Texas teams were awful, and I agree with that. I don't think that Deshaun Watson was a major reason why the Houston Texans lost all those games. But as a guy that was having one of the biggest contracts in the NFL, you have to step up and be that guy, and you have to be able to elevate bad teams. That's why they're paying you all that money. Deshaun Watson was playing solid, but it's not like he was playing, oh my goodness, this guy is the second coming of Patrick Mahomes. He's the second coming of Joe Burrow. Nowadays, when you ask people about Deshaun Watson, most people don't even have him in the top 10. Now, me personally, I think Deshaun Watson is a top half quarterback. I think Deshaun Watson is no scrub. I actually think he can play. I know that he didn't play too well last year, but you also have to remember that he had severe rust in his game. Deshaun Watson was coming off of not playing football for 700 days, and the fact that he was having to deal with all those allegations. But with all that behind him, how do I think Deshaun Watson will perform in 2023? Well, the answer to that is I'm not really that high on the Cleveland Browns this year. Yeah, I understand that they got Nick Chubb, they've got Amari Cooper, they've got Elijah Moore, they've got David Njoku, they've still got Myles Garrett on the defensive end of the field, they've still got Denzel Ward, who's one of the best cornerbacks in all of football. They still have a really good offensive line. They still got Peoples-Jones catching the football. I understand that this Browns team has a lot of talent. The problem is, though, they play in the stacked AFC, and they probably play one of the hardest divisions in all of football. When I look at this Browns team, they're not better than the Ravens. They're not better than the Steelers. They're not better than the Bengals. They're going to be 4th in the AFC North, and being 4th place in your division means that you're probably going to end up with the losing record. So I got the Cleveland Browns going 7-10 this year, even though the Browns may be able to beat some very good teams this year, just because of the fact that they play in a brutal division, and the fact that Deshaun Watson has not really proven to be a great quarterback ever since he got that mega contract, and that he hasn't really been a consistent winner since 2019. I mean, look, I understand that Deshaun Watson is supposed to be a major upgrade over Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett, but I don't think Deshaun Watson is necessarily going to become this top 10 quarterback in the NFL again. It's really hard to play so consistently well in the NFL. The fact that Deshaun Watson has kind of already dropped off for 2 years, that should kind of tell you everything about where his head is at. I understand he's trying to regain his focus and trying to regain his skill set of being an elite quarterback, but the fact of the matter is this: you haven't necessarily played top level football in a very long time, and it's way harder to get good at the game of football, more so than dropping off from the game of football. Look, here's what it comes down to: can Deshaun Watson focus all in on football and stop being focused on getting them rub and tugs? Because we all know that Deshaun Watson would rather get the rub and tugs and be the massage man rather than winning football games. Look, Deshaun Watson, he's a good football player, but he needs to have his head all focused in on football, because if he doesn't, then the Browns will absolutely have no chance of making the playoffs. Now, even if he does focus all in on football, though, I don't think he has a strong chance of leading the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs, just because of the fact that their division is going to be so hard to compete in, just because of the fact that the Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals all have better rosters than the Cleveland Browns. But hey, if Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns manage to get through the gauntlet that is called the AFC North, maybe they can be dark horse contenders in the AFC. Still, though, I kind of highly doubt it, though, just because of the fact that the AFC is just stacked in general. There's just too much talent there in general. The fact of the matter is this, though: I'll tell you who will have to pay the price if the Cleveland Browns miss the playoffs. It won't be Deshaun Watson. It's going to be Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski is going to be the guy that has to pay the price if Deshaun Watson does not make the playoffs this year. Kevin Stefanski is going to get fired by the Cleveland Browns if Deshaun Watson doesn't show up. Look, the Cleveland Browns can't afford to cut Deshaun Watson, but they can afford to cut ties with Kevin Stefanski. I can tell you that much. So the point of the story is Deshaun Watson is under a lot of pressure to succeed, but he's not necessarily under the most amount of pressure on the Cleveland Browns. The head coach is under the most amount of pressure, not Deshaun Watson. But still, though, Deshaun Watson has to show up and perform big-time football for the Cleveland Browns. Otherwise, every single Cleveland Browns fan is going to be booing off Deshaun Watson each and every game. So that's why Deshaun Watson is under tremendous pressure to succeed on the Browns, as he is currently one of the most overpaid players in the NFL. Remember, go ahead, subscribe subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin-Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin-Tran and Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin-Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.